Hey guys, this is Boogie Panda and I'm bringing you the second episode to how to TW as an archer, and this episode we're going to cover the archer's role in TW. Now, what is the archer and where does its strength lie? Archer is the ranged physical damage dealer in TW. There is no other class that can compare to our damage at a range in TW. We are not really a damage per hit class, DPH class, we're more of a damage per second class. I know we have very strong DPH skills, such as barrage or take aim even, but we are still a DPS class. As I kind of touched on in the auto attack your way to success episode, the first episode, to unleash the full might of the archer and to achieve the highest DPS, auto attacking is the way to go. Now, we are, as I said, the primary ranged physical DD class. We should be standing at the back and taking advantage of our range to deal high damage. We are also very potent with our Purge proc, which is available on many endgame bows, so the rank 9 bow, the old Nirvana grade 15 bow, the rank 8 recast bow, all the rank 9 second cast, third cast, the new third cast that's not being released yet, with the exception of grade 16 and rank 8 bow, that's not really end game. The G16 could be. All of those bows have Purge proc, and Purge proc is one of the most potent procs on the weapon. One could argue that it's even more dangerous than God of Frenzy. Anyway, we have very high attacks per second for a ranged character. I mean, taking a wizard for example, they only have around 0.5 attacks per second for basic skills such as Gush, Pyrogram, and Stone Rain, whereas archers have a base of about 0.87. With a rank 9 set, and even higher if you are demon with quickshot proccing or windshield or something similar. And to add to that, we also have the longest range for DD skills in game at 32 meters, one level 11, meaning demon or sage, I believe. Now, you might argue that Sins have higher DPS in TW, but Sins also have disadvantages. They have no range. The Venos Bramble practically rapes them, which means that every time they pop out they need to iron guard, and as a result of that, most of the Sins you see in TW, the good Sins anyway, have now converted to DPH class. There are very few good DPS Sins left in TW, which leaves the role of physical DPS DPS damage dealing back to archers like before the Tideborn expansion. So, what should an archer do? Archers should prioritize killing clerics with their enhanced range and as well as enemy mystics before targeting other arcane DDs. This is probably common sense. As I mentioned in the previous video, archers should be targeting the classes that are weakest to them, and clerics and mystics, since they both normally use arcane armor, are pretty squishy unless they are insanely refined and sharded. Both of these classes are supporting classes, or should be played as a supporting class in TW. They can res, buff, heal, and purify the squad, which makes killing their overpowered DDs or catabarbs nearly impossible to do. So, if you want to win the TW, then you should be trying to drop those clerics and mystics as fast as possible. In fact, you know that T screen, the one where it sees nearby nearby players, you should set that T screen to only clerics and mystics with your own faction mates deselected, and that means that you can use the T-screen to find the list of enemy clerics and mystics nearby in TW, which is pretty handy. Archers also have their 2-spark OT, Barrage of Arrows, and that could really cause chaos. If you guys watch my TW videos, then you can probably see me using Barrage of Arrows a lot, and even suiciding with Barrage of Arrows, because of the sheer chaos it causes. with either Demon or Sage Barrage, or even level 10 Barrage, with the rank 9 plus 10 bow, the damage is insane. What you should do to maximize your barrage is that pick targets in the middle of a group, so you deal damage to as many enemies as possible. You should pick a target, if possible, with high HP and or high defense, so your barrage lasts, they don't just like die instantly. And lastly, you should barrage on towers or crystals as a deterrent for enemies to leave the base. This is a very effective way to base control. I mean, even enemy katas in the base, this is an effective way to base control, because or just like cut off a route altogether, because then with a 12-meter radius around the target, they can, well, enemies could go past it, but then they risk the chance of getting purged or dying or take masses of damage. Also, archers have a massively useful debuff in TW, especially for those of you keep complaining about OPDDs or OP Catabarbs. Archers have Sharpened Tooth Arrow debuff. It has a 15-second cooldown, no chi cost, use it, abuse it. In fact, if your demon, even grants you a chi increase. What Sharpened Tooth Arrow does, if you're unfamiliar or you just don't read the description, it reduces the max HP of targets by nearly 20%. So on, say, an endgame Catabarb, that's nearly 8k HP off their total HP, and that makes them a lot easier to kill. I mean, 8k HP on an endgame Catabarb, that's like a rank 9 plus 12 wizard hitting a crit on them. So yeah, I mean, that's 2 attacks by a rank 9 plus 12 wizard or a critical. So that's the difference between getting that Catabarb killed and having him stay in your base for another 10 seconds, taking down your enemy, taking down your crystal or your towers or whatever. You should be using Sharpened Tooth Arrow on high HP targets or targets that are hard to kill. The level 100 skill Blood Vow is also useful if you're focus firing a target and you have no BM supporting, or the BM is reluctant to use 2 sparks to kill 1 target, which is sometimes the case. Blood Vow reduces their max HP by 20%, and it also gives them a 20% amp, but that amp is not stackable with Heaven's Flame, but is stackable with any other buffs in game. Lastly, I'd just like to say that as an archer, you're still squishy, and you can be 2-shot or even 3-shot when buffed by a wizard or a psychic. So you should keep yourself at range as much as possible and keep yourself alive. After all, a dead archer is of no use to your faction. Archers are a versatile class and can easily adapt to many roles in the game. We can be attack squad or defense squad, or even suppression squad, or whatever you're required, an archer can fill that role in perfectly. Work with your squad, work with your faction, and that's how you become an effective archer in TW. I hope you guys found this episode helpful, and make sure you subscribe for the next episode, which should be next Wednesday.